Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Wednesday, February 25th. It is time for some Destination Health. Phone lines are open. I see we've got calls coming in. We're going to get to those in just a couple minutes. We've got about 3 hours today. I do have another event coming up later today. We are kicking off our Trucking Mastery webinar series today. This goes for 6 months. We do one webinar every month. The first episode is today, From Survival to Strategy. Perfect timing, too. We didn't really plan it this way. But this whole series this time is about really coming out of this freight recession strong. And I think the timing is good. So plan on joining us today. Starts at 3 o'clock Eastern. You can head on over to letstruck.com and register for your free spot. This is all brought to you by truckstop.com. Brent Hutto joins me on this. We did this last year. It was a great success. We're doing it again. So we'd love to see you there this afternoon. What else do I have going on? A bunch of stuff, but I see the phones are starting to light up. Couple things going on. I'm not going to spend as much time as I thought because the calls are starting to come in pretty heavy. I'm working on an idea. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this idea yet. But it's about, it started with the idea of the French paradox. And what the French paradox is, but paradox is basically something that we can't explain, doesn't fit the pattern, doesn't meet the norms of something, and we don't know why. It's a paradox. The French paradox was all about the fact that we in the US have been brainwashed since really started in the 50s, really picked up steam in the 80s. We've been brainwashed into believing that saturated fat and cholesterol cause heart attacks and will kill us and will make us fat and make us much less healthy. That's what we were told about saturated fat and cholesterol. The French, though, continued eating a very high-fat diet. A lot of cream, a lot of butter, a lot of animal fat, very fatty animal foods. That was their traditional diet, and yet they had very, very little heart disease. That's why it was called a paradox. Well, the paradox is really a cop-out. We can explain, we've always been able to explain, there's no paradox here at all. The French didn't have heart attacks or clogged arteries because cholesterol and saturated fat don't cause heart attacks and clogged arteries. No paradox at all. Yet we're still brainwashed into believing that saturated fat is bad for us. So I started thinking about all the other paradoxes, because really everything we seem to know about nutrition is opposite of what we've been told and brainwashed into believing. The saturated fat paradox, that's kind of the French, the cholesterol paradox, the salt paradox. How can you be healthy if you're just salting your food whenever you want? Use as much salt as you want. How could you be healthy? Well, it's not a paradox. That's the way the human body is designed. The whole grain paradox, heart-healthy whole grains, nothing could be further from the truth. The vegetable oil paradox. We were brainwashed into believing we needed corn oil and soybean oil and cottonseed oil because we couldn't eat all that saturated fat and cholesterol. The breakfast paradox. It's the most important meal of the day. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with anything. The fiber paradox. The calcium paradox. The nations that consume the most high calcium foods have the highest rates of osteoporosis. How could that be? The protein paradox. Oh, you can't eat too much protein, it'll damage your kidneys. The sun paradox. For some reason, this one was a theme on social media this week. I can't tell you how many posts I saw warning people, you better stay out of the sun. My grandfather had his nose cut off and two of his ears, and on and on and on. You're going to get skin cancer, and it's just not true. It's not true at all. I'm living proof of that one. We don't sunburn because we're weak. Well, we are weak, but we're weak because we ate decades of seed oils that damaged every cell in our body. When the seed oils clear, even somebody as pale and fish belly white as I am, I don't burn anymore. That's just incredible to me. That's a paradox. The sleep paradox. You know, that there's that kind of badge of honor. I'm so busy, I only sleep 4 hours a night. I only sleep 4.5 hours a night, but it's not because I want to. I wish I could sleep 6.5. But we have destroyed sleep hygiene, we could call it, just across the board. That's why we all struggle so much with sleep. We need sleep. We need good quality sleep. We probably don't need 8 hours. We do need good quality sleep. The sitting paradox. We developed so many jobs and occupations where people sit, really, really unhealthy. We're aware of that one in this industry. The hygiene paradox. Let's hyper sanitize everything because these germs, this bacteria, this stuff's going to kill you. Didn't make us any healthier, made us a whole lot weaker. I have a whole bunch of them here. The statin paradox, the antibiotic paradox, the antacid paradox, the sunscreen paradox, the multivitamin paradox. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that idea yet. I had planned on doing kind of a long open on it today, but the calls are coming in. One other thing that I have been working on a lot, and we are finally putting out some actionable items on this, the whole detox issue. So I avoided detox for a lot of years, and I talked about it. I was not impressed at all with what even the functional medicine world called detox. And we don't put out detox protocols yet because most of them just didn't feel completely right to me. And I because I didn't completely understand it and I couldn't figure it out, I thought I couldn't, I kind of avoided it and said, look, your body has 7 detox pathways. Your body knows how to detox. You know, give it good nutrition and it will detox on its own. And I was wrong. Again, it won't detox on its own in many cases. The majority of the cases, and we discovered this because of the MIP test, and I will say because of AI, really helped me dig deep enough to finally figure this out. We can measure whether or not your major detox pathways are clear. For most people, they're just not. Even people who have been eating very clean for years, they don't necessarily have good, clean detox pathways. If you're missing your gallbladder, that's a big part that never gets talked about. So doing a real deep dive into this and working on it over and over and over, I'm finally starting to develop some protocols and strategies that you can do on your own. You don't need to be in coaching for me to walk you through the detox. Now, some people probably should be in coaching, but we'll put out some things that will help you start working on this detox process. I know we're about to release the first one. I don't know if it's in the store yet or not. I know Lisa was working on it, and it's a really pretty simple kit. And you might not necessarily think of this as detox. This wouldn't be part of most traditional detox protocols. This really is the first step towards getting your body to the point where it can detox itself. And the kit is actually light, balance, and TUDCA. TUDCA is fairly new for us. I had no idea TUDCA could be so powerful at detoxing, because what TUDCA does is it improves the quality and the flow of our bile. And bile is a very powerful detox. So improving, now this is where if you don't have a gallbladder, this gets a little more difficult. Not impossible, but it certainly still can be done. So light balance and TUDCA are now part of my daily stack. Light balance always has been, but it was mostly for electrolytes. Well, it still is. Because here's the other thing I can tell you. One of the ways you can detox on your own without a lot of guidance, without knowing whether your detox pathways are clear or not, one of the best ways you can detox is sweating. You should be sweating as often and as much as you possibly can. That could be just getting outside, getting on a good hot day. We're going to have those soon. And just working hard and sweating. It could be a physical activity, a sport you really like to do where you sweat a lot. Can be infrared sauna is our absolute best. Infrared sauna, the blanket is really good and can be used in the truck. The lights are even better. It's a more thorough detox, and there are other benefits. Not quite as convenient in the truck, but we're working on some ideas around that. I received some really good information. I talked about the idea of using a foot bath in the truck with the magnetic clay. Our feet are really a pretty powerful way of detoxing. So it's a convenient way. A whole body bath with the magnetic clay is even better, but doing that on the road is not going to happen. So the foot bath is a great, easy way to have one more step of detox without worrying about whether the pathways are clear or not. At some point, we should deal with your digestive detox mechanisms. That's where we don't have a straightforward detox yet. And I don't know if I'll be able to develop one for that or not. I'm working on it, but it does require, if we want to do it right, it requires some testing and some guidance and some follow-up. We'll see what we can do about that. I'll be bringing you a lot more on that very soon. It's kind of a big project for us. So I'll be putting out some information and products and kits. If you're in the coaching program, it's certainly something we pay attention to and work on. I'm really starting, and you know what? I don't know why I'm surprised about this. The basis of functional medicine is give the human body the nutrition it needs and take away the toxins, and it will heal itself. So really, we finally got down to this point where we've got the nutrition part down. There's not much more we need to learn about nutrition. Doesn't mean I don't keep reading and looking and testing. I do, but we've got that pretty well figured out. Now we got to get the detox part figured out. You get that done. Those should be your first two steps. Get the nutrition right, get the toxins out, and it's pretty incredible how well the human body heals and functions once you do those two things. All right, let's get to some phone calls. Phone lines are open. I do have about 2.5 hours left. Because of the webinar today, I don't want to go over. I got to watch my time. So jump in now, and we'll get to your calls and questions. 855-950-3835. Let's go to Indiana. Carl, welcome. Good morning. What can I help you with today? So are they using the term type 1? Carl? So prior to this diagnosis, have you ever, when was the last time, if ever, you had your A1C checked and you know what that number was? How how was this diagnosed, or why was somebody looking? Okay, so I guess it's not necessarily going to matter. We treat it the same way either way. It'd be interesting to know. Do you have any blood work from any time prior? Like, would you do a DOT physical every 2 years? I'm assuming. And the prior DOT physical, nothing came up about blood sugar at all. And you don't know of any time where your A1C has been checked. Okay. The reason is, so typically we look at type 1 and type 2 completely different. They're two completely different diseases. Type 2 is pure lifestyle. You develop type 2 diabetes over time because of a really poor diet. Seed oils and carbohydrates are the two biggest offenders. Seed oil damages your cells to the point where it becomes insulin resistant. Then your body can't handle all the carbohydrates. Your blood sugar goes through the roof. Takes years for that to occur, decades sometimes. Type 1, on the other hand, can happen overnight. Type 1 is autoimmune. Your body attacks your pancreas, and your pancreas can't produce insulin. That is what type 1 is. And it's why type 1 is so much more dangerous than type 2, because it is very, very difficult to manage type 1 with insulin. And unfortunately, our doctors tell type 1 diabetics, oh, you know what? You can kind of eat whatever you want. We just have to cover it with enough insulin, which is a death sentence for a type 1. That is a life of misery. You are far more likely to go blind, to lose limbs, to have heart attacks, to have kidney disease, to have liver disease, because that roller coaster of sugar and insulin will kill you. The confusion has become that we now have something we call type 1.5 and or 2.5, or we don't even know what to call it. It's kind of a combination of type 2 and type 1. What happens in this case is somebody's been type 2 for so long that their pancreas is kind of worn out. It's just not producing enough insulin anymore. It's not the same as type 1 where the beta cells are dead. They're just not putting out enough insulin to keep up with things. That's kind of confused things. Typically, type 1 happens in children. Usually this does not come on later in life. That's changing though. That confuses all of this. We used to refer to type 1 and type 2. Type 1 was what we called juvenile diabetes. That was the term, because type 1s tended to show up early in life, 5, 6, 7 years old, sometimes even younger. And we called type 2 diabetes adult onset diabetes because it took years or decades. Now we have so many problems with diet that sometimes we can't even distinguish the two anymore. And we do have 6-year-olds getting type 2, and we have 50-year-olds getting type 1. How old are you, by the way? And your blood sugar was 350. Oh, way too low. Yeah, and the insulin isn't being effective. There wasn't enough there, and it's not being effective to cover um, your blood sugar. So when you say I've been eating low carb, give me an idea of how many carbs a day that might be. Uh, Are you wearing a CGM? Um, how much were you quoted? You really, the reason I would say you should wear a CGM is because I'm not clear about what's going on. I mean, if you've been eating that low carb, I'm not sure what went so wrong and why your numbers are still so high at these levels, whether your body's producing insulin or not. They actually were able to prove that a type 1 diabetic can live without insulin. Now, it wouldn't be pleasant, but they could live, they could actually thrive. What they had to do is they had to eat almost a pure fat diet. They couldn't have any carbs, and they could have very, very little protein either, because your body will produce um, glucose out of protein. And if you're that insulin resistant and you don't have enough insulin, even protein can cause a problem. But they have shown that even a type 1, zero insulin, can thrive, and they don't give them insulin. They just have to eat a zero carb, very, very low protein diet. I'm not recommending that. What I'm saying is you have the majority of control over this in what you eat. But you have to watch both carbs and protein till we figure this out. And a CGM may help us figure out the pattern. Why is your blood sugar so out of whack and not responding to low carb? So when hold on hold on a second. You are testing your blood sugar regularly? What do you see fasting in the what do you see in the morning when you wake up before you eat or drink anything? Yeah, that's way out of line. That's way too high. What's the highest number you've registered? Okay. And you are now on insulin, you're prescribed insulin now? That's it. Okay, and that's clearly not controlling it. And we don't want to control it. We want to figure out how to fix it. But this isn't even controlling it. Your blood sugar is still way out of whack. Well, let's be clear that to, depending on when you last ate, 120 is not good. It's better, but it's not good. I mean, we're still. I mean, that would be a fasted number with exercise. Hold on, Sarah's sending me a message about. So Sarah says there's a company on Amazon called Lingo, Lingo, $49 for a 2-week sensor. That's really, really reasonable. We work with a company called NutriSense, and I don't think their prices have come down that much. You can't afford not to spend $49 to wear a sensor for 2 weeks. The big pharma companies that make these, Abbott and some of those others, that they're doing that because insurance will pay it. There's no reason a sensor should be that expensive. And the price has been coming down on these sensors significantly. And now we have a lot of competition because they're now legal over the counter. So now you see companies like this where, and the sensors are all basically made by the same companies. Even if they're not completely accurate, they give us the pattern we need. I'll kind of cut to the chase on this. We could approach this 2 ways. You want to eat the lowest carb diet you could possibly eat, and you've really got to watch your protein. And you need to monitor. So there's a couple ways, but I would also want to find out why this occurred. Is it truly autoimmune? It sounds like it is, because we would want to work on improving that. It doesn't sound like you've completely lost the beta cells, because you are still producing some insulin. But I would want to work on both sides of this equation. Autoimmune conditions are caused by leaky gut. And you just mentioned your digestion isn't good, so that makes sense. So we would work on blood sugar control through mostly diet and stress reduction. Like you already know, exercise and movement can at least get rid of the excess sugar. We shouldn't have to do that, but it's certainly not going to hurt anything. You can call in, on Wednesdays or here and there, and we can just keep working through this. I don't have any openings in coaching right now, but typically this would be a coaching issue. This is a little more complicated than just somebody who became a type 2 over time. I don't know what your history was. Because you don't have any blood work or you don't recall an A1C. It's very possible you were already a type 2. And you say, I know you're tall and skinny. Doesn't matter. There is a thing called skinny fat. And there are skinny people who are very metabolically unhealthy. And there are overweight, even some obese people who are metabolically healthy. They're the outliers in both cases, but they both exist. You may have just been a very metabolically unhealthy, skinny person. Right. Right. It's horribly inaccurate. I just posted the other day that the DOT physical is a joke when it comes to our health. It tells us nothing. I can look at somebody and tell you just as much as they're being told from a DOT physical. So we don't have the history. So we just have to deal with not knowing. We deal with what we have now. You have very, very high blood sugar and very low insulin, which does kind of put you more in the, you really kind of seem like you're in the camp 1.5. Not sure that this is pure type 1. I think it's a little of both. But very, very low carb, but don't overdo the protein. So keto. You want a very, very low or zero carb ketogenic diet, high fat, very high fat, moderate amounts of protein, and as few carbs as possible. And then work on digestion. And stress is a big one. My guess is when you wear the CGM, we're going to find out that you're seeing spikes even though there was no food involved. Have you ever filled out a NutriQ? From the NutriQ, I can tell you which digestive kit to start with. So that would be the best way. I mean, I could randomly say, well, try the fat digestion kit, but with just the NutriQ alone, I can tell you what your worst digestive problems are, and then we would target those. So if you want to take a NutriQ, we can get you set up. We don't charge for it. And then you can call back next Wednesday. I'll go over your NutriQ, and I can give you even a better plan then. All right, I will put you back in the queue. Chelsea, if you would, get him set up on the NutriQ, and we will move on to Herschel. Let me hit the right button. Good morning. What's on your mind today? Hold on, I got to go in and fix the audio. I just saw that the chat room is not hearing the caller audio. Must have been when I restarted everything this morning. We get this fixed and then, all right, hold on one second. All right, Herschel, say something. All right, now they should be able to. All right. Oh, by the way, and Sarah informed me, I think I mentioned Abbott. This company that's selling the sensor for $49 uses the Abbott sensor. So the exact same sensor you'd be paying 3 or 4 times more for. And the only reason that happens is because insurance pays it. Our system's a wreck. All right, what's on your mind today?
Well, this is something that I don't remember ever experiencing until the last couple of months, which would include, of course, since the eyeball problem started. But okay. I really don't think it has anything to do with that.
Okay.
My theory and synopsis of the problem is while I was off all that time last year, I tried to spend as little bit of money as very possible because my poor wife was toting the note for everything. So I tried to spend as little as possible.
Okay.
So because of that, I let myself get away from some supplementation, and Light Balance was one of them. So now that I've got back in the truck, I'm not doing all that great, that's for sure, but at least I'm making a little bit of something.
Okay.
I went ahead and bought a pack of the Light Balance that are the sticks, that's got the powder.
Right.
And the reason I got that one is because when I looked at that one against the liquid kind, the powder's like a double dose. So I thought, well, I've been without it for so long, so I got that kind. I've been using it for about a week. So what happens now is you go in, you get all stretched out, you get on your side, and you're ready to go to sleep. Got your eyes closed, you're just starting to drift away. And my body, from head to toe, I'll call it spasm. You could call it a jerk. Man, I'll jerk sometimes just once, sometimes a couple times. Usually that'll do it. Other nights, it'll be another half hour or so, and I might do it one more time. Does that sound like electrolytes is doing that? What do you think?
I don't think so.
And it doesn't do it every night.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Huh?
I don't think it's electrolytes.
You don't think so?
And I don't think it's any supplementation that comes to mind. I do have a plan for you.
All right.
Ignore it.
Okay.
I really think this
have been.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
If this were keeping you awake all night, we would need to deal with it. If it's once in a while, a jerk here and there, and then you go to sleep, I would ignore this. You may find that it just disappears on its own. If it gets worse, then maybe we address it at some point. I wouldn't even know where to start, though. That's the problem. This could be one of those things you could just waste a lot of time and money chasing. I would just ignore this and see what happens.
Well, it may very well be connected to the whole eye problem because, believe it or not, when you close your eyes, when you have this, you will get the dizzy lighthead effect as much or worse than you do any other time of the day when you're awake and your eyeballs are open.
Okay. This is some sort of a...
It might be connected.
They could be. This is some sort of a nervous system response. And I don't think it's necessarily nutritional. We may find some weird links in there, but I for the most part, until this either gets worse or just goes away, I would ignore it.
Okay. The other thing that this will bring on is anxiety in levels that if you've never experienced it, you wouldn't even know what it felt like. And I know you never do this. Got any bright ideas of a natural way to help calm the anxiety other than tell your mind, hey, you're all right. Just calm the hell down.
Which usually doesn't work. This is a tough one. I know your history, so I don't take this part lightly because this is the single biggest health problem you have. If we go back over all the things you've dealt with, it's always come back to a nervous system way out of balance. You spend, have you ever measured your HRV?
Only by way of the Sleep Number bed. I actually have that Garmin, what is that thing? Instinct 2 or something?
Sure. The Instinct 2 watch measures HRV. That's what I wear.
I got it from you guys. But then the EMF talk started.
Yeah, ignore that.
And honestly,
ignore that.
It scared the shit out of me, so I put it in the cabinet and I haven't put it on since. I don't even know how to operate it.
So put it back on. You don't have to activate the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth. You just wear the watch. The watch will measure everything. You're not getting hardly any EMFs from the watch itself. It's when we activate the wireless technologies, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So what you do is you wear it, you let it collect all the data. When you get up in the morning, you can set your watch and your phone on the stand and go do something else while it syncs. You would minimize or almost eliminate any EMFs. Now, I will say this. I wear the watch because I like the data, and I leave mine on. It's not that I'm not worried about EMFs. It's just that I think the data that I'm going to get is better. I could do the same thing, turn it off and only sync it once a day. I probably should, but I've done an awful lot of work to detox a lot of other places. I'm not going to worry about a little bit of this. So put the watch back on. I would like to see your HRV because I have a feeling that is really still the biggest problem you're dealing with. Your body spends way too much time in fight or flight mode. And that's what HRV measures. HRV,
Okay.
that is the measurement. The more time you spend in fight or flight, the lower your HRV is. The more time you spend in rest and digest, the higher your HRV is. The beauty of knowing is we can also see very quickly what's working and what's not. So if we get a baseline HRV, and then we start things like you might have to meditate, or you might have to be more mindful, or we might have to find hobbies that just get your mind off everything. But whatever we try, HRV would tell us whether it's working or not.
Okay, let me ask you one more thing. When I got that watch, I remember sitting with it and I pushed all kinds of buttons. I don't know for sure what I did, either right or wrong. Is there anybody that is a Garmin Instinct 2 or whatever that thing's called, guru, that once I get it charged up, they can talk me through what to do with it to make it go back and reset to base so it's not trying to do anything weird, so I know whether or not it's doing what it's supposed to do?
I have a friend that can help you with this.
Okay.
His name's Claude.
All right. Well, I don't have Claude. I don't even know how to spell Claude.
Well, let's try Grok.
Don't have Grok.
It's free. Chat GPT, you need a free version for this. You don't need a paid version of AI. So you could go to Claude, free. You could go to Chat GPT, free. You could go to Grok, free. It is by far the fastest way to learn anything you want to learn, especially technology-wise. For me, it's better than YouTube videos, all of that. You just give any of the AIs, here is the model, the device I have, then you can ask it a specific question like, how do I get HRV to show on my daily report? Anything like that. And it will show you step by step exactly how to do it.
I can try it. It might take a while because reading is still a major challenge. But
Yeah,
I can try it. How do you even find? How do you find Claude? I don't even know. I have no idea. I don't really care. So you're going to have to tell me because I don't know.
Go to Claude.ai. Make sure
how do you spell it?
CLAUDE. Yeah, just go to Claude.ai. And you'll be in the free version. It's a chat window.
And then it's got just a... Okay, so just like any other web search, you touch the little window and you type in your question.
Yeah, and here's how you should treat Claude. If you were asking me, Kevin, help me figure out how to do this on my Garmin device, that's the same thing you ask Claude. Then Claude, if you didn't give it enough information, will ask you, well, tell me which device you have. Tell me this, tell me that. Then it'll go do its thing. It'll come back. It'll give you a step-by-step tutorial. But just talk to it like you would talk to me.
Well, do you have to stay G-rated?
No. Claude will get right down in the mud with you if you want.
There are times.
Yeah. No, it really is by far my favorite way of learning how to do something new.
So CLAUDE
.ai.
.ai?
Yep.
.ai. Okay. Well, there it is. I'll put it on the home screen on the iPad. That way I can find it again. I won't have to call you and say, Kevin, how'd you tell me to get that?
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll add it to the home screen. I know how to do.
You get quite a bit of usage on the free plan. You don't get the latest, greatest model that they just released. That's usually the only difference. But the model that was out 2 weeks ago was incredible 2 weeks ago.
Okay, so you say the free plan. That makes me wonder, what are they charging for that? Just because I have no idea and curiosity killed the cat.
You could spend $20 a month for their lowest plan. You could spend up to $300 a month for their biggest plan. And then there were times when I was using it so heavily, coding and a lot of other stuff, that I would blow through my $300 and I would have to keep adding money. So it just depends on usage. I was a crazy heavy user for a while. Now it's all changing quickly. Everybody lowers their prices, gives you more context on their plans. It's like all technology, starts really expensive, gets cheaper and cheaper. I don't think I'm spending more than $100 or $200 a month on all of my AI usage now, and that includes coding.
Huh. So is it kind of like a cell phone deal? It gives you 37 questions. When you hit 38, they'll start paying.
They call them tokens, and a token is how much processing power did your question or request burn up? How hard did the AI have to think? And it measures that in tokens. And then you get charged for tokens. And there's ways, I don't want to get too deep into this because most people never need to know this. There are ways to manage your tokens better. It can get really deep and complicated. Here, the one that I just thought was hilarious, and this goes back to when ChatGPT was really getting popular. I read an article by the CEO, and his comment was, you will start to treat AI like a person. You just do. It's a conversation. It's not like a search engine. It's not like it just gives you a bunch of links and you got to go click on stuff and find it. It is like dealing with a person. It is a back and forth, and it is as though the AI is thinking. It's not canned responses. What you say will determine what it responds in. So what people do, and it starts to become natural. You thank the AI. Oh, well, thank you for that. All of the AI companies wish people would stop doing that because it costs them money. So the AI, when you're in your chat window, that window can hold so much context, and then you have to go to a new window and start over. That's just a limitation of AI. And when you're still in that same chat window and you ask it a question and it asks you some questions and you answer the questions, and then it gives you an idea, and this conversation keeps going. Well, every time you reply, the AI goes back and reads the entire conversation again. Every time. That takes tokens. When you get to the end and you're all done, and it's been a long conversation, the whole context window's full, and you say thank you, you have to use up all those tokens so the AI can go back and read everything and say you're welcome.
Wow.
That's how AI works. It is usage based. The more you make the AI think, and the harder the AI has to work, the more tokens you use, and that's what you pay for.
So then this sounds, and this be the last one. I use DuckDuckGo.
Okay.
And when you type in something on DuckDuckGo on the top line there, the search box, and it comes up, and it'll give you 30,000 different links and whatnot. But there's one little black box that comes up, I've been noticing lately, and it'll just have an answer. You don't have to go to a link, and it's called Search Assistant. Is that really what that is, AI?
That's AI. Almost everybody is using AI today, and they don't know it. Did you hear the debate I had with the association guy on Thursday? The broker transparency, all that stuff.
Actually, I was on the phone to ask you a couple of things, and I give up on it.
Yeah, so if you remember, right away, I congratulated him on a perfectly formatted outline document. It was it was clear it was AI. There was no way it was not AI. And when I said, congratulations, it's really well formatted, AI did a great job. I didn't use AI. I don't use. Well, no, you did. I promise you did. I'm looking at it and I know you did. And he kept saying, no, I didn't. And then he said, well, I used Microsoft Copilot or whichever one he used, which is AI. A lot of people don't even realize they're using AI. AI is being built into all software now. Our client-side app for our health coaching is purely AI. Every time you interact with that app, you are interacting with AI.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It will be in all software before long. We're already most of the way there. It happened fast. And it's
I
just
still
going to keep
think
happening.
think it's a absolute cancer and societal poison, though. I really do.
I do too. But your choices in the world are either, if I want to go live at the homestead and, I could ignore it completely. Wouldn't matter. If I'm going to be in business, you can't ignore it anymore. This is how business will get
Just
done.
remember to call.
It's so effective, you can't compete against somebody that's using it if you don't use it. And there are plenty of upsides. There really are. There are plenty of upsides to AI. We have to focus on the upsides, which is what I'm trying to do. I've said a million times, I'd get rid of it. If it were up to me, it would go away. I think it is a cancer. I think it's going to do far more damage. It's going to do a lot of good things, but I think in the balance of things, it's going to hurt people more than it helps them. If that's the case, and I'm not going to get away with it or away from it, I will use it. I'm going to try to use it to the best possible use I can, which is helping people, get healthier, wealthier, all the stuff I do. AI just becomes a tool. And that's what it is.
If you go to the homestead, to go back to 1965, you have to call Eric Moser.
Yeah.
Because then he will refresh your memory on how to set the points on that tractor with a matchbox cover.
I do remember that, actually. I used to do a lot of that kind of stuff, so I'm pretty up on the, those pre-electronic engines where we had points and we replaced the spark plugs and set the gap and did that my whole life growing up.
The problem is, where are you going to find a matchbook?
That's a good question. I don't think a Bic lighter works.
They used to give them out at the restaurants.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't seen one in ages.
Used to have bowls of them at the cash register. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Kevin. I'll let you go.
All right.
Oh, I'll say hi, Fred Grindle. He said he was listening. Hi, Fred.
There you go. All right. Let's go to Oregon. John, welcome.
How are you doing this morning, Kevin?
Doing good. What's on your mind today?
Well, you suggested when we talked a couple weeks ago, I sent in the MIP. You should have some results there. I got some stuff out of range and chat about that, I guess, is what I'd like to chat about.
All right.
And I have gone outside with a lot more pain.
Oh, say that again.
I said I have been outside and grounding myself. You told me that, I needed a little poke, and
yes.
There it is.
Excellent. All right, good.
Yes, sir.
You are showing a very, very common pattern. Let me look at a couple more of your markers. No fungal markers to worry about. That's good. No Clostridium metabolites. That's good. One bacterial marker that we will talk about because it does matter and it's pretty high. One other biomarker slightly high. And no oxalate issues to worry about. For the most part, it's a fairly good report until we get to lines 68 and 69, which gets everybody these days. Remind me about your symptoms. What are we trying to fix?
My feet feels like I'm walking on glass all the time. They're just absolutely excruciating. Feel like they're full of glass. Hurt.
So, how old are you?
Walking
Oh, you're my age.
63.
Yeah, you're my age.
Yes, sir.
Diabetic ever?
You know, I've been asked that a lot, and then we talked briefly. I have no idea.
Okay, well,
Truthfully,
you were then.
I do.
And you are.
Yeah.
So what you're experiencing is neuropathy, which is one of the most common symptoms of out of control blood sugar, whether we call it, diabetes or whatever the numbers were, we don't know. But clearly there are blood sugar issues. Have you done a NutriQ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chelsea, could you find John's NutriQ for me? My guess is your blood sugar is going to be pretty well out of control. That does lead to what we're seeing here. This is starting to affect hormones, and it's really starting to affect your brain. This pattern that we see creates what we call neuroinflammation. This is a direct marker. Your brain is inflamed. It's inflamed because there are pathways that are blocked. I mean, I could get way deep into the weeds on this, but I don't think it does anybody any good. You've got pathways that are blocked. Your neurotransmitters are not getting to where they need to be, and we're creating a neurotoxin in the brain that creates inflammation. It's hard to, if you have inflammation in your ankle, we know it. Your ankle hurts. It's pain. Inflammation on the skin is pretty obvious. It's inflamed. It itches. It burns. We can see it. Our joints, our muscles can be inflamed. We know it because there's pain. The brain has no pain receptors. You can slice right into somebody's brain while they're wide awake and they can't feel it. There are no pain receptors at all. How do we know when the brain's inflamed then? It's things like brain fog, mood issues, tired and wired, all of those things. And my guess is you're probably experiencing a bunch of those.
Yep. That rings a bell for sure. But that also inflammation in the rest of your body. At times I will get a fairly good charge and then have a knee that needs some work on, and it just throbs now for a year. And so I attribute some of that. Go ahead.
Yeah, tell me about your diet now.
I'm clean. As we talked before, I've been listening to you for years, so I got a pretty darn good idea what I should and I shouldn't. I told you I cheat every once in a while, go on the road, go to wrestling tournaments. You stop at the Chester's and get chicken in the way you go, But other than that, very straight up clean. No grains, zero. Every once in a while, some cacao, some chocolate, but
yeah, don't worry too much about that. Seed oils?
Really, no.
Okay.
Non-existent in my life. Yeah.
Okay. So
that has gotten counted.
The diet fixes 90% of this. The stricter you are, the closer you're going to get to that 90% healing with just diet alone. The rest of the 10% is going to come from detoxing, and you've got pathways clogged, and supplementation. And that's the whole plan out of this. That's what it's going to take. We have to work on digestion. We have to work on detox. But diet is clearly still the most important part. There are some supplements like ALA that might help with the neuropathy while we're trying to heal it. Neuropathy will heal, by the way. The doctors will tell you, once you've got it, you've got it. It's just not true. If you have it and you stay diabetic with high insulin and high sugar, your neuropathy is never going away. If we get the sugar and the insulin low enough, the neuropathy will start to heal itself over time. Now, when you mentioned the Chesters,
What do I need to cut out?
not only is that grains, that is a seed oil bomb.
Just say that again.
When you mentioned like picking up
Oh, yeah.
Chesters or
Whatever.
Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the show, the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.